Bungie released their State of the Game with Joe Blackburn, Assistant Game Director for Destiny 2, updating all of us on the current state of the game as well as Bungie's priorities for 2021 and beyond. There's a lot of details to cover today, including a delay to Witchqueen to 2022, sunsetting has been sunset, PvP balancing, Vault Glass returning, plus crossplay and transmog details. So if you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for all the latest Destiny 2 content and turn on notifications by hitting that bell. So I'm going to go through the details section by section as Bungie laid out on their update yesterday, but feel free to jump over to the full version and give it a read. It's a really good one, and I'll be combining snippets from their update as well as thoughts as I go along. So first up, we've got the news that the Witchqueen has been delayed to 2022, and given the COVID restrictions and Bungie needing more time to add some flesh onto the bones of the story, so at this time we don't know what early 2022 means, but more time hopefully means a better quality product at the end of the day. So Bungie said in their update, the Witchqueen represents an important evolution of the ongoing story in Destiny 2, and Beyond Light built the foundation and allowed us to weave the world building of Destiny and Destiny 2 together. But the Witchqueen will light the fire on a strongly interconnected narrative across Lightfall and beyond, unlike anything we've ever attempted before, with characters, arcs, heroes and villains that persist over multiple future releases. So in 2020, Bungie announced a new trilogy of stories with Beyond Light, Witchqueen and then Lightfall, and now we're getting a new unannounced story after Lightfall, which is going to conclude the Light and Darkness saga. So really exciting stuff. Next up, sunsetting has been sunset, and one of the most divisive decisions by Bungie over the last year has been weapon sunsetting. So back in Season 11, infusion caps were added to weapons, which ultimately put a time limit on all of our weapons. So Joe said in the update, we've made the decision that any weapon or armour that can currently be infused to max power will continue to be able to reach max power permanently. Starting in Season 14, we won't be capping the infusion on any weapons or armour that have not already reached the cap as of the start of Season 13. This means you're going to be able to take your Trustee, your Falling Guillotine and all the high stat armour you've earned this year to take on the raid in the Witchqueen. And one of the reasons sunsetting was put into the game in the first place was so Bungie could shift the meta. However, they feel that their implementation of sunsetting was off the mark, and that means they're going to have to do the meta shifting in other ways, and it's going to be interesting to see how they approach that. Well, next up we've got changes to power. So the power climb has become a source of frustration for the community over recent seasons with the introduction of raising the power cap by 50 each season. And Joe continued by saying, starting in Season 14, we're only going to be raising the power cap by 10 for each non-expansion season. So this means if you reach maximum power in Season 13, when the next season rolls around, you will be directly in the 10-point pinnacle band of the power pursuit. So that means you won't have to grind out the soft, hard and pinnacle cap each season, and if you reach max power in a season, then next season you're going to be able to hop into the most challenging content almost immediately. And the power climb of 10 is still going to give you that incentive to raise the power level, but it should be less of a pain each season with these changes. Next up, we've got a massive piece on PvP balancing, and PvP has not been in a good place for some time, and Bungie have outlined some plans here for 2021. So I'm going to go over them in bullet point form, but in Season 15, they're going to start with 3 peaking by disabling emotes, and you won't be able to go into third person with any ammo, and that one has been massively applauded by the PvP community. Bungie are going to attempt to balance stasis in PvP to make it more comparable to the light subclasses. That's going to happen in Season 13 and 14, and the changes are going to happen across all classes. In Season 15, the light subclass is going to receive a buff to the most underused specializations, and the specific goal is to keep stasis feeling great in PvE, but soften it in PvP. New perks are going to be introduced to help shift the meta in the Crucible, and in terms of security and cheating, Bungie are taking a multi-pronged approach, including doubling the size of the security team, surveying players more frequently, and taking aggressive legal action against creators of cheating software. And finally, Trials and Iron Banner is going to see an overhaul of the reward structure to help improve the matchmaking pool in Trials specifically, and also investigate opportunities for solo players to go into Trials, much like we've seen with Iron Banner Freelance introduced in Beyond Light. So Bungie acknowledges there's plenty of work to do with PvP, however there is quite a lot of good stuff here. So Stasis has driven away many players in PvP, making the Crucible simply unplayable for many. And time will tell whether the buffs and the nerfs to the light and the dark subclasses are going to have the desired outcome, but this list appears to be a good start. So the PvP crowd has been wanting Bungie to acknowledge the problems in PvP for some time, and we haven't had an update for well over 12 months, so I think this is going to be welcome news. But if you're a PvP player, I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. Let me know if you think this is enough, or do you want to see more? Next up, the Vault of Glass is going to return in Season 14, and that's going to be in May 2021. It's going to have some upgrades compared to Vault of Glass in Destiny 1. So it's both going to be familiar, but also has some new surprises from the raid design team. There's going to be a world first race, but with a curated list of triumphs, and they're going to introduce a master difficulty version of the raid shortly after it's released. Next up, we've got Ada 1 coming back, and Ada was introduced in Season 5 in Season of the Forge, and now she's coming back to dress us up and help us all out with our fashion game. So in Season 14, Ada is returning to the tower. It's going to help turn any armor piece we have in our collections into a universal ornament. And in Destiny 2, Bungie is going to call the Transmog system Armor Synthesis. So Bungie say, once you've acquired new universal ornaments, you want to head over to the new appearance screen on the character menu, where you can manage the ornaments on all of your gear in one place. You're also going to find that you can apply shaders here individually or on all pieces of your equipped gear with one click. And to make it even easier to try out a bunch of new looks in Season 14, we've also changed shaders to be permanent unlocks, meaning you no longer need to hold on to stacks of shaders in your inventory. And thank God for that, because about 100 slots in my vault are taken up with shaders, so I can finally delete those. And to finish up, we got some minor details. So Joe wrapped up the update with a few final points, including crossplay is coming in Season 15, and PC and console players won't be matched in Crucible unless you invite your friends. We got Ikora Ray coming back in Season 14, and she's going to play a massive part in the Witchqueen. Stasis is going to be expanded to a damage type with legendary energy and power weapons, and gilded titles are going to be improved too. So I've got some thoughts on all of the changes, and while I'm sad that Witchqueen is going to be pushed to 2022, it does make sense given the restrictions that we're all working and living under at the moment, with a return to normality not really on the cards just yet. I'd much rather there be a delay to a DLC than have a half-baked one release, especially when you consider how important the Witchqueen is going to be to the story arc of Destiny 2. Sunsetting, being sunset, is very, very interesting indeed. We didn't think it could happen with Bungie going back on their rollout of sunsetting, but perhaps with the change of management this decision was taken. We have to wait and see what this means for the meta and how Bungie planned on shifting things in the future, but I think that's probably more a positive problem to have rather than the amount of anger and upset players that we've had with the introduction of sunsetting. The PvP changes look really good, however, I'm probably not the best person to analyse these improvements as I mainly play PvE and only hop into PvP for events and sometimes weapons, like when the recent Messenger came out in Trials of Osiris. So as mainly a solo player, I'm interested in what they plan to do to overall Trials and Iron Banner. So Stasis just had to be nerfed in PvP, it's just way too strong, and I only hope that it's not going to affect PvE too much. There is no mention here of separate sandboxes for balancing the two game modes, which did seem a possibility that was on the cards, but we didn't get a mention of that. Vault of Glass returning with some changes all makes some sense, and it's still one of my favourite gaming memories, first going in there blind, so I can't wait to jump in Season 14. So there's loads of information there, and I definitely recommend going over to the Bungie website and reading the full update from Joe Blackburn, and I'll link that article down below in the description and you can check it out. But let me know what you think of the state of the game down there in the comments. Well, that is it for this look at the state of Destiny 2, and as always, thank you so much for watching. For more Destiny 2 content like this, hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. If you want to join the community, check out the Discord link in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again, I'll see you soon.